Bayo started to take the herd with the dogs Zabria and Samria in the lead. She always enjoyed sauntering freely in the grass fields. She got to notice so many things in these escapades, where the birds nested, where the tiger had its habitat, and she would also get the fruit especially available in the wilderness. But today was going to be a different day. Bayo, don't you have to go to the school today? Shepherd Bhasha asked as he was digging with the crowbar to fix the poles for the fence early in the morning. It was a full moon night in the month of Kartik. The moon had crossed the Kritika, that is the Kristika constellation. Even the sun had moved ahead of Swati, Arcturus constellation. The monsoon was as good as over. Now, the goat's kids would have to be taken out of the vada, that is the shelter, and he was busy fencing the open patch of land in front of the vada to let the kids and the goats move around freely. Today, though Babul did not have to go to school, he had to go and attend a special extra class for the 10th standard students. Bhasha's wife Tani and sister-in-law Paru had put together vegetables and all the bulbous roots to sell in the weekly market. The annual fair in the village was nearing. They had to buy new clothes for the fair. They had collected 2 kilos of pure ghee to sell in the weekly market. "Shall I go by myself?" she asked her father. "Of course, you go ahead. I will catch up with you on Bandya's field on the plateau. You will have Zabria and Samria to keep you company." "But you must come, huh, Baba?" she told her father as she tied a piece of cloth around her waist, picked up another piece of cloth and a bamboo stick. Actually, she always loved to wander freely in the open along with the goats. Now that she was in the 5th standard, only sometimes on a holiday she used to go to the meadows with her aunt. She learnt quite a few things there. Getting to locate the birds' nests, getting to know about the leopard's habitat, how the boar goes with her brood. She used to get the wild fruit too. The fruit of Bibba would be ripening. The sweet hasoli and torrents could be sucked for the juice inside them. Everybody had eaten ragi bread consumed with curds for breakfast. They had also drunk the water from the rice before it was set for final cooking. It was around 10 in the morning. Bhasha had unleashed all the goats. They started walking along with short, quick steps. Zabria and Samria also took the lead as usual. If the shepherd's dogs are not with them, they may face many difficulties. Once you are in the forest, one could never say which animal would be lurking from the dense area. A leopard would always be on the lookout for a goat and following it surreptitiously. Foxes and hyenas were likely to come for a game any time. Bhasha was lucky with his pair of dogs. They were very agile and alert. If a boar was in view, they could easily attack and finish it. Those who liked to go hunting would borrow these brave ones from Bhasha. Since the dogs had accompanied Bayo, she would summon courage to wait till her father came. The goats do not graze in a chosen area. They do not even walk in a straight line. And again, they were not small in number. There were about 100 of them. Ratni, a nanny, that is a she-goat, from amongst them was Bayo's favourite. She was a kid when Bayo was 5 or 6 years old. Ratni used to jump and frolic around. Bayo used to enjoy playing around with her. Bayo was fed on Ratni's mother's milk, and now Ratni herself was pregnant. It is obvious that goats do not graze making a beeline in a single direction. They explore different grazing grounds going in all different directions. Bayo was acquainted with their routes and habits. Once she reached the top of Bandya Hill, they would change their route. In Vetora, the top of the Bandya Hill was unique. Standing there, you could see Tendori, Kerus, the hills of Madyachiwadi, and on the other side, other hills lined up in a row touching Vadaoli. At lower level, you could see the road going from Vengurla to Kudal, reaching Kudal at Gavardevi Plateau. Bayo liked to stand there and look at the ST bus moving on the curvy road. At her rear, there were Khanoli and Dabhori Hill and the tall hill of Matondi keeping a vigil, as it were, on all other hills. To the east was Narendra Hill and Savantwadi, which appeared to be touching the Sahyadri mountain. All these hills were covered with trees, which was quite thick at some places. The right slope of Bandya was called Khadesar. There were porphyry orchards, that is areca nut, and at higher level there was a thick forest. Amidst the rocks there was a hollow in which the tiger, a leopard, lived. It rarely came down in the open. But in the thicket on the plateau of Khadesar, once a year the leopard killed a calf or a kid. The goats were moving on, climbing the rocks and the slopes. Even now she could see the ravine and the scree in the ravine. Crossing it, listening to the bells around the necks of the cattle, the goats slowly reached the rocks at the highest point. Ratni was moving slowly but was climbing up and down, freely eating the leaves of the shrubs. Bayo was at the rear end of the herd. Expecting her father soon, she did not rush the goats ahead, but reached the top, climbing through the valley rather slowly, and looked back. She could see their colony, but could not see her father Bhasha. She thought he must be on his way. Then she moved ahead a bit happily. There was a flat patch of land there, and there were small thickets along the rocks. The goats were grazing on the bushes in the thickets, and Bayo was busy calling them, hurr, signaling them to move on. Suddenly, Zabria's ears went up. He dug some soil with his front paws and barked in a strange voice. Sambria was at the front guard. He now suddenly became alert. The goats became alert all of a sudden and turned back from the cliff. Zabria was uneasy and smelling something, he started throwing up dust with his rear limbs. Bayo also sensed some danger, and as she looked around quickly, the strong stench filled her nostrils. "Oh my God! A leopard!" she screamed. She said "furr" to make the goats run. As the leopard, the Biptya, jumped. He had jumped on Ratni. Bayo was extremely scared. For a moment, she did not know what to do. She was shaking all over. Ratni screamed in fear of death. The leopard was going to tear off her neck. But Ratni was also strong. She struggled for her life with such force that all four of her legs went up. In that fight, she somersaulted and moved on with her sharp horns. But at the end of the day, she was a nanny, she was a she-goat, and he was a leopard. Her horn hit the lower end of his jaw. Still, he had moved towards her neck. He was able to hold only the skin of her neck in his jaw. Bayo came to her senses in a minute. She became very bold, looked at the leopard in his eyes and cursed him. She held the rear legs of Ratni and gave a shout, "Ratni, run fast, run! The pregnant goat is in the clutches of the leopard, run fast!" Had it been a boar or a hyena, Zabria and Sambria would have attacked them from the front and the rear and harassed them till now. But now the fight was with a leopard. They went away and started barking and making queer noises. They lacked the courage to attack a leopard. Bhasha heard the scream and also the queer barking of the dogs. he realized that something unusual was happening. He collected a pole, an axe and a machete and was about to run when he heard Bayo's call. He responded, "I'm coming, Bayo, I'm coming, don't be afraid," and ran up the hill. Bayo realized that if she pulled the goat forcefully, the leopard would dig his teeth right into the flesh on the back, and saving the goat would be impossible then. The leopard had no idea that the morsel in his mouth was being snatched. Had it been any other wild animal, the leopard would have changed its position. But there was a human being in front of him, looking at him in the eye and making strange noises. But letting go of the morsel in his mouth was not possible as per his calculation. A leopard is a very alert animal. A human being is not its prey. And that he has threat for his life from the humans is something he senses. And now, if he lets go and goes back, there is no guarantee that he will not be chased. And how can he let go of the goat in his jaws? So, he kept looking at Bayo with the goat still between his teeth. He was making strange gurgling sounds from his throat, and the goat was desperately crying, "Bah, bah." The dogs were barking ferociously, and time was just ticking on. Now Bayo's hands were aching, and Bhasha's calls were coming from a closer distance. She stood up with all the strength she could gather. She felt that she could lose the grip on the goat's rear legs any moment. Just at that very moment, Bhasha appeared from behind the rock and asked her, almost shouting, "Bayo, what happened? What happened?" Bayo turned her eyes to the leopard. Bhasha looked at the sight in front of him. It was very scary. He held his axe and sickle, and holding the anchor in his hand, he looked at the leopard in the eye. "Oh dear, you've been attacked by a leopard." Now the leopard had lost it. He let go of the nanny. The goat dropped down, and so did Bayo under the weight of the goat. The leopard moved, turned around, and he leapt and disappeared in the thicket, moving downwards. Bhasha lifted Bayo. Till then, 4 others also came up. The leopard's teeth had dug into Nanny's flesh. She was also limping because her front leg was hurt. By and by, Babul also had reached. He had heard the sound from the top of Bandya Hill, and when he had reached home, he had seen his father running uphill. He lifted the goat and got it home. In the evening, they had a ritual at home. A toy leopard was tied in front of the goat and kicked. Ratni was treated with herbal medicines, and in 4 days' time, she delivered 3 kids. But Bayo became the leopardess and a brave girl in the eyes of everybody in Vetora.